Hello, traders. How are you all doing today? I hope you guys have had a wonderful day and welcome to lesson number 2 of this tutorial series of these lessons that we're going to try to get through together. What I can assure you guys with 100% certainty is that you will find these tutorials and these lessons just simply invaluable once you get through them. I firmly believe that once you do get through them, you're going to feel that it was most likely one of your best investments that you've made. Why do I know this and why do I believe this? I believe this because you are investing in yourself. Put it that way, okay? And once you invest in yourself, you're investing in your future. You are going to be having and keeping this skill set with you that will be there for life. Whether you're trading any cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin or EOS or Litecoin or Ethereum, it doesn't matter at all. You guys are going to have these skills for life. You're going to feel empowered. I want to empower you. I want to pass on these skills to you that took me a very long time to obtain through trial and error. So today will be lesson number 2, and welcome to the class, everybody, my baby whales. Today's topic will be what separates superstar status from the mediocre. Have you guys ever wondered that? What makes a trader better than another trader? Why are you better than other traders? Why are some traders better than you? And I can guarantee that it boils down to basic emotions and risk management. And what we're going to talk about a lot is our emotions and how to deal with it, how to factor in risk management, and especially how to trade like a casino where we play the game of probability and we try to focus on winning over time. So let's get into this, guys. Welcome once again to lesson number 2, and I'm extremely excited to have you guys a part of my class. I firstly wanted to talk about why and how people fail, right? You got to ask yourself, why do some people fail at trading and why are some other people so much better at trading than other people? We have to ask a lot of these types of questions so we can progress naturally. And we also have to wonder, why does fear and greed factor in so heavily into trading, and what can we do to control these emotions of ours? Well, we have to know, first of all, the journey to become a better trader, right? Just to give you guys an example from my personal life and what I've actually gone through, we have to keep in mind that I failed much more times than you might have failed, right? In fact, failure is a simple part of life. And whether it's in trading or any other aspect of life in general, what I like to do is I like to incorporate human psychology and also philosophy into trading as well, because I firmly believe that when we trade, we find our identity. Okay, our trading style is not derived from just following someone. Our trading style is actually derived from years of hard work of figuring out what we like to do in the market. And our personality will actually mold our trading style over time. For example, myself, I heavily invest in a heavy volatility type of market, right? I play these volatile markets because I like to look for small balances and obtain small gains that add up to astronomical amounts throughout the day, which goes to show, as you guys can tell from my personality already as well, that I'm very fast paced, right? I prefer a very fast paced type of lifestyle. I prefer the adrenaline that's pumping through me when I day trade. I don't like to slow down whatsoever. That's why I like to play these lower time frames, such as the 5, such as the 3, such as the 10, such as the 15-minute time frames, which is what we're going to be going over together at the very end of this series. I'm going to teach you guys my specific style that has made me a very good amount of money over the past few years, and I definitely want to share that with you guys as well. Excuse me there. So, how did I get into this, guys? And how many times have I failed, right? How many times have you guys failed when it comes to cryptocurrency trading, right? I'm sure that you guys have lost a lot. But what I need you guys to understand is that through these failures of yours, you're going to become a much better trader. So please understand that every time you fail, you need to realize that they're only going to strengthen you. So, One huge emotional aspect of trading that we need to make sure we understand is that losses are part of the game, okay? You guys are going to inevitably lose money, and you got to make sure that you don't feel bad. I'm just going to lower the camera a little bit, okay? I just want you guys to see me a little bit better in my hand movements because I like to talk a lot with my hands, as you guys can tell. So make sure you understand that losing is an integral part of the game, okay? And that I hope you guys will persevere through your losses. I'm sure you've all been there before where you've lost maybe everything, okay? Maybe you've lost everything. Maybe you've lost you bit off more than you can chew, right? So the first thing that I always suggest to people is to keep a pen and a paper next to you, because every time you lose a trade, you can actually study those trades to know where you've gone wrong. And every time you win a trade as well, make sure you're studying those trades so you know exactly where you went right. It's only until you lose several times and you lose over and over and over and over and over and over again is when you can actually become successful in trading. So, as you guys know, that my background is in engineering, and as an engineer, we adopt a very systematic type of workflow environment that will keep reiterating. We use the word reiterating a design until proven solid, right? And but these designs need to keep failing and failing over and over again so we can actually improve the design over time. So we have to ask ourselves, how do we build a better product? Well, we build a better product by always, first of all, creating an inferior product that might possibly fail. And that also goes the same thing for trading as well, where you have to make sure that you are failing multiple times before you can learn how to succeed. But you have to keep these lessons inexpensive, okay? One thing that we're going to go over in very high detail is making sure that you do not play your entire bank roll, okay? You cannot be greedy whatsoever. You cannot say to yourself, I'm going to play a lot more money because I think that I can actually win more money as well. Does that make sense? You don't want to do that, okay, guys? What you want to do is play a very small portion of your bankroll because you want to gain these valuable experiences to have under your belt, right? You got to make sure that you're playing for the valuable lessons first. But what we can do is actually keep these lessons at a very small cost, okay? These lessons, guys, they don't need to come at a very expensive cost, I assure you, okay? So please make sure that you remember that, right? Play very small, get lessons under your belt, get lots of trades under your belt. Every time you win, document how you won and what you did right, okay? And every time you lose, document what happened, what went wrong. Guys, you have to make sure that we focus on studying both of our successes and our failures in order for us to improve our game, right? I personally have studied people who are very successful at trading that I highly respect, and I also focused before on following very bad YouTubers who were, not the best, right? Because I wanted to focus on the pros and the cons, and then you find somewhere in between, right? You focus on all the bad traders. There's a funny saying where it goes like this, okay? If you want to be a successful trader, all you got to do is grab 10 very bad traders and just follow them. Because if you follow 10 very bad traders, then you're ultimately going to keep winning if they keep losing, right? So you basically do the opposite of what they do. Makes sense, right? But how do we take advantage of our fear and our greed? How do we control them in the marketplace, right? Well, fear can do many things, as you guys know already. Fear can make us do things such as FOMO, right? FOMO, FOMO, it simply refers to fear of missing out, right? You guys might do something such as purchase at a really bad time when you shouldn't have probably bought, right? That's unfortunate that you might have bought near the top instead because your fear took over, or sorry, your fear of missing out took over, and your greed also might have taken over as well, right? Or one part of a fear that might contribute to your trading is you might have been taking profit a little bit too early. And we're going to go over that as well, right? If you know how to control your fear, you might not be taking profit nearly as early. And if you don't take it as early, well, every 1 or 2% more of a gain that's added up over time, over many trades, they can substantially add to your profit in the long run. Well, let's talk about greed as well, right? Greed can also be related to fear. Fear of missing out, right? Your fear of missing out is also greed when you're buying in near the very top, right? You missed out on a really good opportunity to ride a coin when it first started to break out, which we're going to go over. We're going to go over breakout strategies and we're going to talk about exactly how to ride it as well and where to look for signs that it's eventually going to sell off or it's eventually going to start reversing in pattern. So we will take advantage, guys, of our fear and our greed by factoring in a lot of mathematics that's going to help you guys control these emotions, right? So make sure that you guys understand that fear and greed are the two natural psychological factors that will drive people in the stock market, right? Fear might make us do things that we don't want to do, or it might make us do things that like taking profit too early, for example, and greed especially as well. It might make us actually lose more money than we should have lost, or it might force us to be in just really bad situations that we shouldn't be in. So until we learn how to factor in these emotions, it's going to make us a better trader, right? Until then, it's you're not going to become a better trader. But once you do learn how to control these emotions, and you simply just toss it out the window, it's going to improve your game substantially as well. So you have to think of you got to be able to think of what separates the best traders in the world than from the mediocre traders in the world, right? The best traders in the world and just the average Joe kind of trader in the world, what separates them is their emotional stability. Now, despite how crazy you guys might see me as my personality, right? I'm steady as a rock when it comes to trading, right? Maybe not in other aspects in life emotionally, but when it comes to trading, my emotions are in check. Okay, I don't panic, guys. Panicking doesn't really exist in my book. As you guys might know as well, panicking is either greed or fear as well. And when these emotions take over, they might make you do things that you definitely don't want to do. So when you think about a good trader and just an okay average Joe trader, the main reason why a superstar might arise, maybe you'll become a superstar, is because you know how to control your emotions. Now, let me ask you guys a question, okay? What makes you think, or what do you guys think allows a trader to control their fear and their greed much better than other players and other traders? Okay. No, real question, guys. What do you think will make you a better trader compared to other traders, right? What makes you think you'll have a better control of your emotions than other traders? The answer, guys, is risk management. Okay. Risk management. Okay. And that's what we're going to talk about extremely heavily over here. As you guys know, I like to write on my screens, and that's what we're going to be talking about today in high detail. Okay. Risk management will be one of the main topics that we're going to get over today. And one of the big things about risk management is we like to trade like a casino. Okay. We like to trade like a casino using probability. So when we think of probability, what is it, right? What is the probability of something happening in real life? We'll basically refer to what are the chances of something happening? What is the probability that we are going to get rain, right? Is there a 60% chance we are going to get rain? Is there a 60% chance we're going to get snow, right? So think of it like this. Every single trade that you take, is it just blind guessing? No, it's definitely not just blind guessing, right? You are obviously leaning more towards one way than the other way, right? if you're going long on something, and for the people that are not familiar with the terminology long, it just means to when you're buying low and you want to sell high, right? You are longing a stock means that you are buying low and you are hoping to sell it high. Whereas shorting basically refers to the opposite, where shorting refers to you are betting that the market is gonna go against you and you're gonna drive down the market and hope to buy it back at a cheaper price. But we're gonna get over margin trading and shorting in very, very high details. So bear with me until we get through this class. So why do we want to trade like a casino? Okay, we want to trade like a casino for the simple reason of wanting to win over time. Okay, does that make sense, guys? That your one single trade, your 5 single trades, your 10 single trades, right? It does not mean anything over the course of 100 trades, okay? So a good trader focuses on the marathon, not on the actual sprint. What they'll focus on is the war, not the actual battle, okay? Even though you may have won the battle, the war has just begun. Even though you might have won the first 250 meters, the first 400 meters of the marathon or of that sprint, right? The marathon is still very, very far away. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, that this is not a sprint. This is a marathon and it's got many different paths in the way. So what you want to do is you want to focus on making sure that you're trading like a casino in terms of making sure that you're playing many games and you're going to win successfully over time. Okay, that's the key word, winning over time. And we are also going to go over win expectancy formulas, which is really crucial to understanding how you can win over time. Now, I know that I'm not covering a lot of the charts and stuff first, but trust me, guys, this is the bread and the butter, okay? This is the cherry on the top. This is the icing on the cake. This is the stuff that you need to understand you have to understand first, guys. And I'm begging you guys to make sure that you focus on this specific topic of risk management and understanding very clearly that you have to trade like a casino and that you have to use probability to try to focus on winning over time. Even if you were to win, for example, 50% of the time, okay, if you won 50% of the time, or even 60% of the time, you are still going to win successfully over time, as long as we learn how to identify which way it will most likely go more than the other way. So let's just talk about a simple scenario first of all, okay? We're going to go over what risk management is, and what we're going to go over is something called risk to reward, okay? This is a very important topic for you guys to know. It's called risk to reward. And this is going to be the definition and the key things that's going to make you guys successful over time, but just by learning about what risk to reward is. And I will go over that in super high detail with you guys in this class. The definition of risk to reward is simple, okay? Risk to reward, the risk to reward ratio is used to assess the potential trade relative to its loss potential and win potential when you think of it like that, okay? In order to attain these risk to reward ratios, you have to know your potential loss and your potential profit. So what it generally boils down to is knowing how much you can win and how much you can lose prior to entering a trade. So what I like to focus on as a trader is making sure that I know exactly where my entries and where my exits will be. And that is what's going to make you guys a better trader. Knowing why, first of all, why you're entering, but not just specifically why, but knowing where you will cut your stop loss and where you will actually take your profit possibly, okay? So let's go over risk to reward first of all, and let's go over some basic annotations, okay? So risk to reward is usually defined as RR, like that, okay? Just simple as RR. And you guys will see it usually written like that, R colon R, right? R colon R, risk to reward. And usually it is written in a ratio such as 3 to 1. 3 to 1 will simply mean, right, you can win 3 times more than you can lose. You can win 3 times more than you lose, okay? So 2 to 1 means you can win 2 times more than you lose, okay? And 1 to 1, just as an example, is you can win and lose the same amount. Does that make sense? 1 to 1. And I'm going to give you guys the most basic scenario, okay? The most basic scenario that you can possibly imagine. And we're going to use a simple formula, and I'm going to relate it to actually just flipping a coin, okay? I've been using this scenario for a very long time, flipping a coin scenario, okay? Now let's use as an example, first of all, let's use the example, first of all, on flip a coin scenario with an RR of 1 to 1, okay? So your friend comes up to you and he or she says to you, I would like to flip a coin against you, right? And what this refers to is 1 to 1. It basically means you can win and lose the same amount, right? And he says to you, okay, well, every time you win, you I owe you I owe you 50 I owe you say $10 as an example, but every time you lose, you owe me $10, right? Does that make sense to you guys? How this is the same win and lose the same amount ratio, right? Because the risk to reward is 1 to 1. You are risking $10 so you can make $10, right? Does that make sense to you guys right here? Okay, so we're just gonna put in some very simple formulas for you guys to understand here. So let's obviously flip a coin is obviously 50% heads, right? Coin chances of 50% heads, 50% tails, right? Now let's talk about this over 10 games only, right? Let's talk about this over 10 games. 10 games is 50 heads of, 50 tails. Or we'll just say like this, okay? You win 50% of the time. You win 50% of the time and you lose 50% of the time, okay? I didn't mean to write over time games. I meant to write over 10 games, all right? So if you guys think about this over 10 games and you win 50% of the time, how many games did you win, right? You'll have won 5 games and you'll have lost 5 games as well, right? So you're playing 10 games and you win 50% of the time, which means you'll have lost 5 games and you'll have won 10 games. So 5 wins at $10 is equal to $50 total profit, right? But 5 losses at $10 is equal to $50 total loss, right? So your net profit, so the total that you have actually won is 50 minus 50. 50 from the win, right? Minus 50 from the loss is equal to $0, okay? That's not really the best risk to reward when you think about it, right? So let's think about this rhetorically for a moment, okay? If you were, now let's talk about a trade, okay? Let's say you took a trade as well. How does this relate to trading, okay? Well, think of it like this. Risk to reward is defined like this. I'm going to talk about very specific numbers right now for you guys to first of all understand, okay? Let's go over this in high detail. How is the risk to reward formula derived, okay? Risk to reward formula derived. How is it derived and how do we get these numbers, okay? So I'm just going to throw out some numbers here for you guys. Let's say we're on Bitcoin right now. So for the people that are first of all curious, all right, we're going to use this tool. It's in TradingView, which we haven't got to there yet, but there's this tool here called risk to reward that you guys can use. Actually, it's called the long position, right? And you click on the long, you click on somewhere here, and as you guys can see here, for example, you see the risk to reward of 1 right there, right? So I'm just going to jot this down very quickly on a notepad just to make it very easy for you guys to understand. Okay. All right. Okay. So how do they derive this risk to reward ratio of 1? Okay. So the formula goes like this. Okay. And I'm going to explain it to you guys from this perspective right here, okay? The risk to reward formula is equal to your target price minus your entry price, okay? All divided by, this is the division sign, right? All divided by your stop loss, sorry, your entry price minus your stop loss, okay? That is how this is derived. So if you guys notice right here, your entry price is basically referring to this middle line right there. So if you were to buy Bitcoin at 89.09, okay, your entry price would be 89.09. Oh, sorry, first of all, let's go to target price, right? Your target price is 86 right here, right? 86.60, which is this line up right up there. That's the top of the target price. So we're going to write this down. I promise you guys this will make sense very soon. And then your entry price was 80.09.1, right? And then you want to divide all of this right here. Okay? You want to divide all of that right there minus your stop loss, or first of all, your entry price, which was 89.09.1, minus your 97.57.3. Okay, so if you actually did this math right here, right? If you did this math right here, it would actually equal to 1. So let's see if this will actually equal 1, okay? So now we have 9860.9 minus 9809.1. Okay, that's 51.8. We're just going to write this here. 51.8. And then now we're going to see what this will equal down over here. Okay, 9809.1 minus 9757.3. Also 51.8, right? So now we're basically getting 51.8 divided by 51.8, which is equal to 1. Now, what does this mean, guys? It means that you have a chance to win $51.8, and also you have a chance to lose $51.8. Now, when you think about it and you relate it to the flip a coin scenario, isn't that kind of the exact same thing that we were talking about, right? 1 to 1. You can win and lose the exact same amount. So when we were flipping a coin as well, isn't that the exact same thing where we were talking about if you had a 50% chance for heads, 50% chance tails, and over the 10 games, you can win 50% of the time and you lose 50% of the time. And every time you lose, you owed $10, but every time you won $10. Well, think of the risk to reward, right? What's $10 divided by $10? The answer is 1. So now your risk to reward is simply just 1, right? So that makes a lot of sense. So let me ask you guys this, okay? This is going to be a very good question for me to ask you guys. What if your risk to reward was 1, okay? If your risk to reward was 1, as in you can win $10 or you can lose $10, how would you actually be profitable if it was always a risk to reward of 1? I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to really think about this question, okay? So once again, if your risk to reward was only 1, where you have a chance to win $10 and you had a chance to lose $10, right? With a risk to reward of 1, how could you actually be more profitable or profitable in general if you have the chance to lose the same amount and also have the chance to win the same amount? Okay, if you guys said that if you guys said that instead of winning 50% of the time and you won more than 50% of the time and you basically won more than you lost, then you're absolutely right, okay? The risk to reward does not refer to the probability of you winning more, right? What it actually refers to is just how much you can win and how much you can actually lose. And it's really important to understand these concepts because what we want to focus on is two things, okay? One is increasing your probability of being more right than wrong, which basically means you want to make sure that you win more than 50% of the time. This is what we would call probability, right? Probability right there. 50% chance probability makes sense, right, guys? Right? So we want to, one, increase your probability or your chances rather of winning more than you lose. And the second thing that you want to focus on is getting a high risk to reward formula, a high risk to reward number. So now let's go over another scenario, okay, guys? Let's go over, now that you guys have a very good grasp of understanding what risk to reward is for now, let's go over some more examples, okay? Let's go over this exact same scenario, but we're gonna actually go over it with the scenario of a risk to reward of 2 to 1 now, okay? Actually, you know what? Let's finish this up and let's say that we actually ended up winning more than 50% of the time. Let's just say you guys are on a lucky streak, okay? Let's say you guys are on a lucky streak and we're going to say that you won 60% of the time. So now your probability is actually higher, right? So it means that you will have won 6 times and you will have lost 4 times, right? So 6 wins at $10 each is $60, right? And then 4 losses at $10 each is $40 loss. So if you take a look at your net win, which is $60 minus 40 now, guess what, guys? You're actually profitable $20, right? Even though you have the exact same risk to reward of 1 to 1, even though you could have won just as much as you lost, which is win $10 and lose $10, because your probability, your chances of winning was actually higher, you are now profitable by $20 as an example. So what this goes to show is what technical analysis will do for us, okay? What technical analysis will do for us is it will actually increase the chances of us winning, because now if you didn't know anything about technical analysis, right, everything would be 50-50 all the time in your head, right? But we learn technical analysis because it gives us a really good understanding of which way it could possibly lean more than the other way, right? So once we know and have a better system to gauge which way it will most likely go more than the other way, well, guess what? The probability of you winning is actually higher. So does that make sense when I say we focus on two things, okay? The second one you might not get yet until we get there. One, we want to learn tactical analysis to increase the chances or the probability of us being more right than wrong. We want to increase our chances to be more than 50%, right? And two, we want to focus on high risk to reward setups where we have a possible chance to win a lot more than we can actually lose. So now let's go over another really good example, all right? What now we're going to go over is we're going to go over a risk to reward setup of the exact same thing, but we're going to go over for 2 to 1, okay? Right? So if you had a risk to reward of 2 to 1, right? What does that mean, guys? What does it mean? It's right there. Bingo. If you guys said that a risk to reward of 2 to 1 means that you can win 2 times more than you can lose, you're right, right? Exactly. So this means now, instead of every time you win, you only won $20, well now, every time you win, you actually, oh, sorry, every time you win, you only won $10. You're right. If you said that every time you have a chance to win, now you can win $20, right? Because that's what it means. You have a chance to win 2 times more than you lose. So flipping a coin scenario, for example, okay, with a risk to reward ratio of 2 to 1, every time you win, okay, this person, um, so yeah, okay, yeah, I was getting confused with the wording there. So you're flipping a coin against me, okay? So every time you win, I owe you now $20, okay? I owe you $20 every time we flip this coin. And every time you lose, you owe me $10 only. So think about that for a second. When you're flipping a coin and there's heads or there's tails, right? And a person says to you, and you know in your head that a coin can only be 50-50, right? Obviously 50-50. If you flipped it a few thousand times, it would most likely be close to about 50% of the time, right? 50% heads, 50% tails. So if I walked up to you and I said to you, okay, every time you win, I want to play you heads and tails, flip a coin, but every time you win, I want to give you $20. But every time you lose, you owe me $10. What would you think for a moment, okay? Think about that for a moment. What would you think? Now, if I were you, or if you thought this, I would probably be thinking, wow, this guy is honestly up to something, right? But no, we're assuming that there's no tricks whatsoever. If there's no tricks, you would probably be thinking, wow, if there was a risk to reward ratio of 2 to 1 and it was a 50-50% chance only, I would just play a million games because after a million games, I would definitely be up, right? Because even if I lost 50% of the time, but I won 50% of the time, because this guy is playing me or he's paying me twice as much as I paid him when I lost, then it just makes sense to just keep playing over and over and over and over and over again. Now, imagine if you went to the casino, guys, okay? You went to the casino and you had these chances right here. 50% chance of the time, right, is heads, 50% of the time it's tails. But every time you lose, you're only paying $10. But every time you win now, you're now gonna get twice as much back, right? Wouldn't it be in your best interest to keep playing this game like a casino over and over and over again until you actually make some bang? Because inevitably, wouldn't you actually make a lot of money doing this if the risk to reward ratio was 2 to 1 and you were right 50% of the time? If you took 100 trades and you won 50% of the trades and you lost 50% of your trades, but every time, and you lost the exact same amount, right? But every time you won, you won twice the amount that you lost, right? Wouldn't it be in your best interest to keep trading and trading and trading and trading? Are you guys getting excited with me? Are you guys understanding what I'm saying? Right? This should really start to click right now, right? Do you guys get what I'm saying? If it's never clicked before, guys, give me a high five. Okay? Give me a high five. This is like a back slapper moment. This is like a knee slapper moment as well, guys. Okay? This is a pound it kind of moment. Give me a pound if you guys are starting to get it. Okay? be proud of yourselves right now because I'm super proud of you guys for understanding this right now, okay? Now, what we want to do, guys, okay, I feel like I'm whispering right now because I don't want anyone else to hear these trade secrets because they really are trade secrets, guys. Think about it for a moment, okay? This is why we trade like a casino, okay? We trade like a casino because we just focus on the marathon. We don't care about the sprint, guys, okay? We don't care about the 100-meter run when we don't care about, the 100-meter individual person who's actually in a relay, right? We got to focus on the whole marathon. We got to focus on the whole war because the battle really is nothing in the grand scheme of things. Okay? So if you guys are making 100 trades and every time you lost $10, but every time you won $20 and you lost 50% of the time and you won 50%, sorry, you lost 50% of the time and you won 50% of the time, it would definitely be in your best interest to just grind out these trades and make sure that you're winning over time, right? So let's just do this. Let's go get over. I know you guys are getting this ready. You guys are way smarter than you let on. A lot of my students are really smart compared to me. I know that. I just have more experience. But I've got no doubt in my mind that you guys are going to be successful once you get through my classes. Trust me. You guys are going to do very well in my class. You know why I know this? Because I have one goal in life, and that's to see a lot of other people succeed. And I really, really do hope that I change your lives. Who am I kidding, guys? You know what the ultimate goal is, right? The ultimate goal is to breed, that's a funny word, breed a lot of baby whales, right? A lot of baby whales because you guys will become self-sufficient traders and eventually I will follow you on Twitter. That's right. I'm going to follow you on Twitter and watch your YouTube videos and follow your trades because you will be a successful trader already and I won't have to do technical analysis anymore. I could just put my trust in you once and you guys will never have to ask for it again. Simple as that, right? That's going to be pretty cool down the road. And also as a bonus, if you guys do become like a billionaire or a crazy, like 100 millionaire, maybe you guys will remember you're a teacher. That would be me. And maybe you guys can also buy me a 33, feet yacht. That would be fantastic as well because I've never had a 33 feet yacht before. I've had a boat before, but it was really short lived because I sank it. We're not going to get there, guys. So anyways, let's go over this now, okay? The flip a coin scenario, right? Now, over 10 games with an RR. Actually, we'll see 100 games, okay? Over 100 games with an RR of 2 to 1, right? Where now you won 50% of the time, so you'll have won 50 games and you'll have lost 50 games, right? Well, if you're, I want to make sure this is nice and right for you guys. So at 50 wins, okay? Well, 50, what's 50 times 100, guys? How much will you have won? If you won if you won $20 a game, I meant to say, right? And you won 50 times, how much of profit would that be? You win 50 times at $20 each. That's $1,000 profit, you're right. And now you lost 50 times still because you're winning 50% of the time and you're losing 50% of the time. But each time you lose, you actually only lose $10 instead of 20. So what's 50 losses at 10 each? That's right, that's 500 losses, $500, guys. So what is your net profit? Your net profit is your $1,000, right? Subtract by your $500 losses. That's $500 profit right there, right? I'm just going to change this over to 100 games as well, so we can actually make it very easy to understand by having similar figures, okay? Just take me 2 seconds here, and I'm going to compare it for you guys, and you guys are going to be blown away if you are not familiar with the concept already, okay? So check this out now, right? So over the other side, with a risk to reward ratio of 1 to 1, right? Over 50 games and or sorry, over 100 games of 50 wins and 50 losses, 50 wins at $100 each, okay? At $100 each. I'm actually just going to move this down here a little bit just so we can have more room because I think I'm going to run out of room for the next lesson here that we're going to partake in it together, okay? So if you guys take a look at here, take a look, right? Oh, sorry, this one goes up there. That's right. So if you take a look, 50 wins and 50 losses, well, that's $500 total profit for your wins and $500 total losses for your losses. Well, your net profit is $500 minus $500, which is zero, right? That's assuming you win 50% of the time and you lose 50% of the time. But now that you are taking better trades, for example, then you have a chance to win twice as much because we're going to talk about in the future how to define these targets, right? You guys will now get a very good understanding of it down the road after we finish it. But because, guys, you have a chance to win twice as much as you actually lose, right? Means you can win 2 times more than you can lose because you're actually winning $20 per game instead of $10 per game only, but you're losing $10 per game. Well, guys, guess what? Your total profit is now actually twice as much. That's why you're actually going to win $500 more. But let's say that you're on your way to become a much better trader. Now, this is assuming you actually win only 50% of the time and you lose 50% of the time, right? Let's say now you're a better trader and you're winning more than 50% of the time. My winning ratio is about 75%, guys, with the strategy I will share with you at the end. And guys, I don't even get phased. It doesn't even bother me for a moment when I lose a trade. You know why? Because I've got the formula for success in here, and I've got the mental projection of me as a winner over time. I don't feel bad at all, guys, because I understand everything right here that you guys see on this screen right here. Everything that you guys are learning on this screen right here is how I think about trading every single day. I don't think about it from the perspective of one trade, two trades, five trades, 10 trades. I think about it from the perspective of 100 trades because I know for a fact that my probability of winning is about 75% of the time. So if I were to win 75% of the time, how could I possibly be in the negative over time when I'm focusing on the actual marathon and not the sprint, right? So let's just say, for example, okay, let's just say, for example, you're now becoming a way better trader, guys, okay? You're becoming a way better trader. And now we're going to talk about this right here, okay? We're now going to talk about different scenario now. Now this one here, just as an example, let's change this back actually. This one, we'll change it to 100 games as well, over 100 games, okay? Over 100 games, RR, risk to reward of 1 to 1. So you guys must be wondering, why am I teaching you guys this first? Because guys, this is the most important aspect of trading, okay? Guys, trust me. Trust me when I tell you guys that this is the most important part of trading is just shaping that mentality of yours to understand in the long haul. We haven't even gotten into trading yet, guys, okay? This is all basic stuff and fundamental in my personal eyes, but they are so important and crucial to your learning. If I wish someone taught me this way back then, guys. If someone taught me this way back then, I would have been a lot happier. I focused on charting. I focused on technical analysis, right? It took me a while, guys, like almost a year and a half into my trading to start learning about risk management and what risk to reward was, and realizing like I used to beat myself down, guys, for losing these particular trades. But after a while, it became so natural for me to think about it from the perspective of risk to reward like this, okay? Because now all I think about is what is the probability of me actually winning this trade? Well, it's about 75% based on my stats, right? And you know, am I gonna go for a high risk to reward setup all the time? Absolutely, I am. I always make sure that I go for high risk to reward setups, and we're gonna talk about that even in more detail very soon. So let's compare it, guys. You're now a superstar trader, okay? And now you're gonna win 60% of the time, okay? Right? And now you'll have won 60% of the games. So you'll have won 60 games total, right? Instead of 40 games total. So if you're winning it at 1,000, or sorry, at $20 each, that will be over 60 games, $1,200 of total profit, right? But because you're losing much less as well, you're only losing 40% of your games, which is 40 losses at $10 each. Well, guess what, guys? Now you're only going to lose $400, right? So now we take a look at the net profit, which is your total wins of $1,200 minus your total losses of $400, and look at how big this number is. Look at this, guys. When it was only 50% of the time, you only won $500, okay? But now all of a sudden, and $500 more than the risk to reward ratio of 1 to 1, right? But now, if you guys see this one, if you compare, even though we have the same risk to reward of 50-50, right? Or sorry, a risk to reward of 2 to 1, and this one, but you're winning 10% more of the games than you are losing. Well, guess what, guys? You're still winning $300 more than winning 50-50 of the time. But if you compare the same one to my left right here, where you're learning, where you're winning, right? Right here, just as an example, this one here, you're R to R 2 to 1, okay? This one's R to R 1 to 1, okay? You're actually still making $600 more. Isn't that amazing? Okay? Isn't that just kind of mind blowing when you think about it, right? So this is the kind of stuff that I really love to talk about because I think that is the most important thing. So now let's go over risk to reward for 3 to 1, okay? So what does a risk to reward of 3 to 1 mean, guys? Okay, I want somebody to tell me very quickly. If you guys said this right here, you're right. It means you can win 3 times more than you can actually lose, right? So if you won 3 times more than you actually lost, which also means that you're taking these trades, okay? Let's say we went to a 3 to 1 risk to reward right here, okay? What does this mean now that you guys might be curious about seeing it here? Let's say you entered a trade right here and your stop loss, okay? What this means is refers to your stop loss, okay, guys? Let's say this is 3 to 1 right here. It means that you're confident that it could reach this specific price up here, right? But in case it does not reach that price and it actually ends up reaching to this price down here, that is the moment that you will take your loss, okay? That is the importance of risk to reward. Risk to reward, I didn't even mention, is a way for you to minimize your loss. You have to remember 3 things. 1, you have to know how to protect your money. 2, you have to know how to preserve your money. And then only 3 will you be able to grow your money. Okay? So 1, you have to know how to protect your money. 2, you have to know how to preserve your money. And 3, only then will you be able to grow your money. Okay? So a stop loss is simply referring to the moment that you will decide to take your loss. Okay? And it's very important to exercise this mentality of keeping and sticking to your stop loss. Okay? And that is what risk to reward does, right? It ensures that you have a guaranteed place to keep to your stop, to stick to your losses, right? So why do we stick to our stop losses, guys? Why do we stick through them? Because, guys, we've been talking about it, right? You stick to your stop losses because over time is what we want to focus on, not in the small grand scheme of things, right? So guys, if you decide that this is your setup, and we will go over this in such high detail, I promise you guys, okay? If you decide this is your setup here, where you decide that you will enter at about 98.59 because you believe that it can go up to 99.28, right? But if it goes down to 98.36, that's where you are going to take your loss. Now, it could be very big, right? It could be like that as well, right? And you can still get a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, right? So it varies. And we talked about the formula already as well, right? The formula was very simple. It basically referred to making sure that you take your target price, okay, minus your entry price, all divided by your entry price minus your stop loss, right? So that's incredibly important to understand that as well. But I just want to give you guys a very general intro to this, and let's talk about the risk to reward over time, okay? All right, let's talk about risk to reward ratios of 3-to-1, okay? So, what does a risk to reward ratio of 3-to-1 mean? Can anybody tell me? So you're right. If you said that you can win 3 times more than you lose, you're absolutely right. So let's change up some of these fields. So if this was a risk to reward ratio of 3-to-1, what would this mean, guys? Okay. What it would mean is every time you win, I owe you $30 now, right? I owe you 30 bucks. But every time you lose, you actually owe me only $10, okay? So with the risk to reward ratio, over 100 games of 3-to-1, right? And you'll have won 50% of the time, and you'll have lost 50% of the time. And each win is actually at $30. So if you won 50 games at $30, how much would you have won, guys? That's right, $1,500. Now, 50 losses at $10 is still $500, right? So what is your net profit? Your net profit would be $1,500 minus $500, right? And that would be equaled to $1,000 profit actually now, right? So now we're actually well over $1,000 in profit. Do you guys see what I'm saying here? That's actually a lot more money, right? Pretty cool. Because now the risk to reward ratio is a lot higher, so you now have a chance to win way more than you actually lose. And don't worry, guys, we're going to go over how to set all of these targets and how to define it and everything as well, okay? And it's going to make a lot more sense to you guys down the road, okay? So now, just as an example, now you're up $1,000, right? But now let's say you're a really good trader, okay? You're a really good trader, and now you're actually winning more than 50% of the time, and you're winning 60% of the time. So now you're winning 60 games or 60 trades out of 100 trades. So your profit would actually be $1,800, right? Because it would be 60 wins multiplied by $30 per win. So your total wins would actually be, think about this now, okay? $1,800 minus $1,400. So your total profit, guys, is actually huge if you look at it, okay? Check it out, guys. Your total profit is actually equal to now 1,800 minus 400 equals $1,400. Isn't that huge, guys? Isn't that amazing when you think about it like that, right? So I hope that this is really making a lot of sense so far. So what we want to do, guys, is we want to focus on looking for high probability trades, right? Obviously, if you have a 60% chance to win, it's going to be a lot better than having a 50% chance to win. And through technical analysis, it's actually going to increase your chance of winning more over time. So once again, we really want to focus on winning over time, right? So I hope that this is really helping so far. And now we're going to go over some actual examples with what risk to reward is on the actual charts itself. Okay, now let's talk about some real life examples. This spreadsheet is available for you guys to download in the link below. Okay, I made it just for you guys, and it's also one that I use quite often as well. Okay, let's say that you are buying a Bitcoin at $10,000. Okay, I'll zoom in. And this one here is a spreadsheet, right? But I use it for Open Office because I don't want to buy Microsoft Excel, nor have I ever needed to, right? So Open Office is pretty much the exact same thing. So you can just download Open Office for free by Googling it, and you can use it as well. It might even open in yeah, it might even open in Microsoft Office as well. So definitely have a look at that, okay? So let's say you were going to buy it for $10,000, okay? I should probably delete these fields. They're kind of useless now. Yeah, it's not really necessary for a lot of people. All right. So let's say you're going to buy one Bitcoin at $10,000, right? And your target one, okay, is going to be roughly that's let's say $10,500. Okay, that's your target, right? Let's say your target two, where the actual resistance is say $1,100. And let's say you decide to say, hey, if it actually goes lower than $9,500, right? Then I'm going to take my loss. Well, this is actually giving you a risk to reward ratio of 2 to 1. Because notice the difference. This is now $11,000. Okay. This is $11,000. This right here is $10,000. Well, that's $1,000 more, right? But notice the difference between the 9,500 and the 10,000. That's only 500. So because you can win 1,000 and you can lose 500. Remember our definition, guys. Our definition is you can win 2 times more than you lose, which gives us a ratio of 2 to 1, right? So this simply means if we were to look at it on the actual chart itself right here, okay, this is what it would look like, okay? We are going to buy it at $10,000, okay, just as an example up here, and we are shooting for $11,000, okay? $11,000, just like that, okay? Like that. But we're going to take our loss if it goes down to 9,500, right? So this is what it would actually look like right here, okay? I'm just going to move this over so you guys can actually see it. Actually, I'll move it well over to over here, okay? Even though there's no chart there, this is what it would look like on this particular screen here, right? This is how we get our risk to reward ratio of 2 to 1, right? So we have a chance to win 10.51%, just as an example. Actually, this should be 10,000, sorry. This should be 9,500. There we go. So we have a chance to win 10% of our money, but we have a chance to lose 5% of our money. So if we have a chance to win 10% and we have a chance to lose 5%, well, what's 10 divided by 5? That's 2, right? That's how we're getting our risk to reward of 2 to 1. And we're going to go over this in really, really high detail, guys. Trust me, okay? So this spreadsheet, I'm also going to go over it in many lessons down the road once you guys have a better understanding of all of these other concepts that I'll be introducing as well. So this wraps up our lesson, guys, for lesson 2. I think we have gone a little bit long. Risk to reward is my favorite topic, so I apologize if it went much longer than it was actually supposed to be. I'm trying to average about 1 hour per lesson video because I think that's fair and I want to respect your time as well, right? So what did we learn from here? Just to summarize, guys, what we learned was that emotions are incredibly important to control, right? We have to make sure that we keep it under control. And how do we control them, guys? We control it by sticking to this right here, this in front of you guys, the risk to reward, right? We stick to it because it gives us a really good idea of where our targets are and also where we need to cut our losses. So please remember that, okay? Risk management is a way for us to effectively manage our possible losses. It minimizes them. It's as simple as that, right? We stick to our risk management formulas that we have, right? If it's 3 to 1, and you actually hit your stop loss, that is where you are simply going to be minimizing your loss. And you say to yourself, hey, I need to take my loss. I'm getting out of the game. And why do we do this, guys? We do this because we're focusing on the marathon and making sure that we're trying to win in the long run because we shouldn't care about these single losses. So, you guys really need to understand the concept of a stop loss, okay? The concept of a stop loss is for you to protect, preserve your money so you can finally grow it. If you can't protect and preserve it, how are you going to grow it? So, please make sure that when you guys have your risk to reward setups, which we will talk about in high detail, this is more so just an introduction class, okay? You guys are going to understand the concepts of how we stick to these stop losses. And we stick to these stop losses to minimize our losses. And we try to focus on high probability setups because we want to trade like a casino. And once we trade like a casino and focusing on winning many trades over time, it's definitely going to help us become more successful traders by focusing on the marathon and the 100 games, the 1,000 trades ahead of us, right? Rather than just the one single trade. But please remember, if you take one thing away from this, is that risk to reward, guys, is incredibly important to follow. It gives us a gauge of our target price that we are targeting. It gives us a gauge of where we will cut our losses to minimize our losses and protect our money as well. And if we stick to these risk to reward setups that we have defined for us already at the beginning of every single trade, which is something I will go over with you guys, right? If we stick to these risk to reward setups, what I can guarantee is that you will be a successful trader over time. Now, I just want to introduce the basics. I hope you guys have had a phenomenal time watching my lesson 2 tutorial and lesson here. I really appreciate my students and my baby whales participating in this lesson 2 video with me. I hope it wasn't too boring. I hope that you're going to walk away with a lot of insight and knowledge from this particular video. And I really hope that you guys have had especially fun while participating in this lesson with me. So have yourselves a great night or a great day, and I look forward to seeing you guys for lesson 3. Bye now. Have a great day. Take care.